Part of Central 70 is closed this weekend. How you can get around it and the upgrades you'll see soon. Plus, prices are so high, more Coloradans are turning to pawn shops. Some ways to put a little more money back in your pocket. And the Tiny House Festival returns to Loveland this weekend. Meet a contractor who went from designing big homes to little ones.
Good morning and welcome to Denver 7 News. I'm Jessica Crawford.
And I'm Katie LaSalle. Thank you so much for being with us. We have a lot to get to for you on this Saturday morning. Let's start with some of our top stories. Today, the city of Denver and Aurora are working together to host a gun buyback event. It will be a voluntary and anonymous buyback event at Park Hill Golf Course from 10 this morning through 1 o'clock this afternoon. So store any unloaded weapons in the back seat or trunk of your car so trained volunteers can access them at this drive-through event, and you will receive a gift card in exchange.
Commerce City is warning residents to make sure their car tags are up to date. That's because starting tomorrow, police will be keeping an extra eye out for vehicles that do have expired plates and tags. Good news though, you can figure this out from home. To check out if your car is up to date, just visit mydmvcolorado.gov. A Berthoud family is trying to rebuild an adaptive park in their community.
And all you have to do to help is buy some lemonade this weekend. Well, Lauren and Richard Bowling's son Miles has cerebral palsy after realizing there wasn't a playground within 40 minutes of their home that Miles could use. The Bowlings decided to raise money to build one themselves. And if you would like to help, we have all the details on where to find the lemonade stand on thedenverchannel.com. There you can also donate to our Denver 7 Gives Fund for them. Now let's take a live look outside at 6:58 on this Saturday morning. Partly cloudy skies, very mild temperatures outside currently. We're in the high 60s in Denver, and we'll continue to see some partly cloudy conditions through the day today, and temperatures slightly cooler, closer to seasonal normals in the high 80s, low 90s later on. But right now we're in the 40s and 50s up into the mountains. 44 right now over Copper Mountain, with 50s moving into Steamboat Springs. Down through Aspen, Gunnison, already seeing some 70s over the southeastern plains. Taking a look at our hourly planner, we do have the chance for a few thunderstorms popping up later on this afternoon, so you see where those temperatures dip as those winds pick up and clouds increase. We'll still see temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, but expecting a high of 92 degrees. 87 into Highlands Ranch, same in through Boulder, low 90s over northeastern Colorado, with 70s into many of our mountain towns. It is going to get very hot over the next couple of days. I'll take you through the extended forecast coming up.
Well, the eastbound lanes of I-70 are closed this weekend in Denver between Washington Street and 270 as we near the end of the Central 70 project. Crews will be realigning the lanes, meaning come Monday, eastbound traffic will use the new tunnel built by CDOT. Then CDOT will focus on getting the westbound lanes in place.
We've been in a temporary scenario for those westbound lanes. We need to undo that temporary scenario, do some rework, and then ultimately put westbound into their final laneage come mid-September timeframe.
The detour will take drivers up I-25 to I-76 to I-270 and then back onto I-70. The final piece of the puzzle of the park is Central 70 tunnels. CDOT says that park will be complete by mid-November, so by the end of this project, it'll look something like this, what you're seeing on the screen. The 4-year-long Central 70 project should be done by the end of the year.
Also in the new eastbound tunnel, you might notice some speakers hanging on the ceiling. There's actually one speaker for every 100-foot zone. They'd be used if there is an emergency inside the tunnel, so drivers could be told to stay in their vehicles, letting them know that help is on the way. Or they could ask drivers to get out of their cars and evacuate the tunnel if need be. So far, the warnings coming out of the speakers have been to the people walking inside the tunnel.
Interestingly enough, what we're using those systems for, mostly during this 1-year transitory period, has been telling people not to walk. Don't be a pedestrian in the tunnels. It is not safe. And so we actually use that public address system to tell folks that it's not safe and they need to get out.
Project manager Bob Hayes tells us that 3 pedestrians a week go strolling through the tunnel. They also have people trying to bike through the tunnel. There are no shoulders, as he said, so it is just not safe, and you are not supposed to do that.
U.S. inflation has reached a new 40-year high. This week, the federal government said prices rose 9.1%, putting even more pressure on households trying to afford the cost of essentials.
And people, they're scrimping out a lot to try and make those ends meet. And now more Coloradans are turning to an unexpected place to get a little extra cash. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta is live for us with how pawn shops are helping people afford to put food on the table and gas in their tanks. Veronica.
Well, these days we are paying a whole lot more for some of those everyday necessities. Here at home, a gallon of gas is averaging us more than $4. Eggs and milk, they're also way more expensive and costing us way more than we used to pay. A local pawn shop owner says he's seeing the direct impact of this, giving out way more of those quick and easy loans to people who really need them to make it all the way to the end of their weeks.
It's a lot more, I need gas for the week type of loans. Hey, I just need a quick 30 bucks, 40 bucks to fill my tank. I gotta go to Castle Rock, I gotta go to Springs, something like that. People just needing money to do their daily commute. You know, pay small bills, get gas, put groceries on the table for the few days before they get their paycheck.
Angelo, who you just heard from there, he's owned Pawn King in Inglewood for 6 years now, though he did grow up in the business. His dad owned a similar one back in the day. He said his shop has always seen its ups and downs with the economy, but really got a boost when COVID started. He said at the time he was selling bikes, video games, and video consoles as well, really items that people wanted to help pass the time with. He says that all changed in February of this year, though. That's when he started seeing more people come in for those quick loans, really anything to help them get to work that day or make it to the next payday. He said Mondays toward the end of the month, those tend to be the busiest. He says sometimes he's loaning out thousands of dollars a week, other times maybe hundreds, just depending on what people need. But he says this is a huge help to his community, which is why he keeps doing it every single day. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Veronica, thank you. People certainly in need right now. Well, food banks in Denver say they're feeling the squeeze of inflation too, both in donations coming in and the number of families coming to them for help. The Food Bank of the Rockies says it's seen an increase in first-time families to its mobile pantries especially. Many who have steady income, which isn't going quite as far with higher prices at the grocery store and at the gas station. But the food bank's operating costs are higher too.
So we're seeing increased need. Anecdotally, sometimes we're serving 50% more people. And then we're also being hit by our actual reduction in donated food coming to us from manufacturers and retailers and from the USDA. So we're buying more food than ever. And of course, just like you and I as consumers are paying more for food at the grocery store, Food Bank of the Rockies is paying more.
Food Bank of the Rockies says spending on food has tripled pre-pandemic levels. That's why donations are more appreciated than ever. If you're in a position to help, we do have a link on the denverchannel.com.
And while most of us can't do much about the price hikes, there are things we can do to save on groceries and utilities. Let's start with your electrical bill.
Unplug all those devices in your house that are turned off. People don't realize that they're actually using a lot of electricity. The Department of Energy says you can waste $100 a year simply on items that are turned off but plugged in. Likewise, if you haven't switched to LED light bulbs by this time, please do. You can save $225 a year.
And as for groceries, experts say we throw out 30% of what we buy. So maybe create a shelf in the fridge called Eat This Now. You just put the last pieces of cheese there, the last apple, other items that you want to eat first before they go bad. And the last 2 nights before you go grocery shopping, have a leftover night and a stir fry or soup night where you use whatever is left in your fridge.
All good tips there. Well, this weekend, a beloved festival returns to Loveland that saw over 35,000 visitors last year.
And it is only 2 days, so we know that's a little tight, but actually, so are the main attractions. Denver 7's Danny New reports.
Howdy.
Welcome.
Economic meet ergonomic.
Show everyone the table. This is my favorite part. This drop-down dining table. It's all epoxy.
This weekend, the People's Tiny House Festival returns to Loveland, brimming with alternative options for home living. They have converted buses called schoolies, even transformed SWAT team trucks, and of course, the tiny houses.
It's beautiful. Marble. It's got the rainfall head on top.
Greg here has been a contractor for decades, but about 3 years ago, he turned to building and selling these mobile bungalows.
A tiny home is minimal living, small carbon footprint, for people who don't spend a lot of time at home, that just want something to live in, and allows you to live the lifestyle that you desire.
Oh, look at this bed. Even got a little skylight. Check that out. Oh, this is nice. This is nice. It's kind of neat to have a loft. And he says this unit is going for $50,000 this weekend, which sounds like could be a bargain, a word that we don't really use very often these days.
People can't afford the houses, the mortgage rates, interest rates. This is affordable, especially for today's newer generation coming up.
There's a pink one.
Especially for the generation raising the next generation. These are the Andersons, and they raised their 2 children in this schoolie. They say that they really appreciate the freedom.
If we don't like where we're at, we can just go somewhere else. If we don't like the weather or if we don't like the culture, we can just kind of get out of there.
Actually, both Emily and her husband Shane are in a folk duo called Arbor Season, and they travel around to all the tiny house festivals in the country to perform. They say that they got hooked on how much it's a community.
We went to our first tiny house festival and it was like we were in immediately, and we had all of these new friends that we still keep in touch with now, and we see at all of these different festivals.
Is it a little cramped? Maybe. Is it, as my grandmother would say, a bit of a schlep? Probably sometimes. But hey, it's affordable and customizable. And those are 2 attributes that are, ironically, a bit of a luxury right now.
It's catered to whatever it is that you need and whatever it is that you want, and it's just a school bus that's turned into a home on wheels.
In Loveland, Danny New, Denver 7.
Mental health resources becoming more accessible to people across the country starting today. The direct impact a Colorado psychologist says that we're going to see right here in our state.
One Colorado ice cream shop offering you a taste of the past in present day. The business whipping up a sense of community for generations with their frozen treats. That's next.